The liberation of political prisoners in Idlib, which is now a reality with the fall of Bashar al-Assad's regime, marks a significant moment in Syria's turbulent history. The stories of individuals like Hala, Safi al-Yassin and Maha, among thousands freed from Assad's notorious prisons, highlight the resilience of the human spirit against the unimaginable cruelty of this tyrannous regime. For over a decade, these prisons have symbolized the Assad's regime's grip on power, and detainees were dehumanized, reduced to numbers, subjected to atrocities that defy comprehension. And now the anecdotes are coming out. Hala's arrest on a fabricated charge of terrorism in 2019 led to years of incarceration, marked by torture, psychological abuse, and her eventual liberation by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham forces was met with jubilant disbelief. The joy was immense, she has recalled to the newspapers, emphasizing the indescribable relief of reuniting with her family, just as many refugees have poured over the border from Lebanon into Syria, and I presume from Turkey into Syria. I don't know about that yet. The prisons themselves were infamous. Assad's prisons were infamous for the systematic brutality. Facilities like Sayednaya earn names as human slaughterhouses for their sheer brutality, their sheer inhumanity. Safi al-Yassin, detained for participating in peaceful demonstrations, endured 14 years of relentless torture across multiple sites, and his haunting memories of blooded cellmates and unspeakable suffering are another grim testimony to Assad's to the Assad regime's barbarity. Maher's narrative underscores the horrors inflicted on detainees and their families, and arrested on baseless accusations of funding terrorism, he endured years of physical and psychological torment. The discovery of his brother-in-law in Meze prison, a man rendered unrecognizable by amputation and madness, underscores the devastating personal toll of Assad's reign. And the collected liberation of over 136,000 prisoners by the opposition forces, spearheaded by HTS, has ignited hope across Syria, and it is a further indictment of Putin's support of this vile man and vile regime. As Aleppo's central prison doors were shattered and chants of Allahu Akbar filled the air, former prisoners embraced their liberators, marking a poignant moment of triumph over tyranny. It's a seismic event that freed individuals, and as it struck a symbolic blow against the apparatus of state terror, and it represents a new chapter, I hope, for Syria. One with challenges, of course, but rich with the potential for justice and reconciliation. But it needs support. The global community must now support efforts to document these atrocities, to hold perpetrators accountable, and provide survivors with the resources to rebuild their lives. We need to be investing in Syria. We need to be helping the new Syrian administration to define itself, to gather support, and to equip itself as an independent nation. And the surrounding countries, Israel, Turkey, particularly, need to lead the movement to support this new country, and it needs to be seen as a new country. Idlib wants a haven for opposition forces, because if we don't help, then what we are doing is providing a vacuum for terrorism and for extremism to grow. And we need to move very quickly. There isn't the time for us to twiddle our fingers and thumbs and think. Now is the time for action. because this is a decisive moment. There are two words for time, kairos and chronos. Chronos is chronological time, and it's not really terribly important. But kairos is the time for decision, for making a decision, and now is that sort of time. It's a time for decision. And we train for a life to make sure that when we are met with that moment, that time for decisions, we can make that decision immediately, not lock ourselves away and think, because there isn't the time. In a moment of crisis, we need to act, and we need to be decisive, and we need to be supportive. And Idlib, which was once this haven for the opposition forces, now embodies a fragile hope for a nation scarred by war. These stories of those freed must remind the world of the resilience required to endure, resist, and ultimately overcome even the darkest oppression. So as Syria steps into this new era, this new world, and as the global community watches, we should await the dawn of justice for its long-suffering people, and we should help.